Item number 11, the annual investment policy adoption. Spencer, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Spencer Morrison, the City Treasurer. Tonight I am bringing before you the annual investment policy update. So in Yuba City, the City Treasurer is an elected position with a stipend of $900 per year, and which is the same as the City Clerk. I am 2 years into my second four-year term. I just thought I would give you a little background as we get started here. Charged with the deposit and safekeeping of city funds, I oversee the deposits for the city's pooled cash as well as custodial accounts, which hold bonds, reserves, debt service, account balances, and project funds related to bonds and leases, for example. The Treasury is important because a portion of it is required by bond covenant or due to a trust or agency relationship, and it helps the cash flow in general government. For instance, one of the largest general fund expenditures, salary and benefits, is paid evenly throughout the fiscal year, while one of the largest general fund revenues, property tax, is received primarily in February and May. The Treasurer invests the excess funds from one period until is needed in a subsequent period, and utilizing investment advisors, independent of any brokerage houses, to make best practices and investment recommendations and the execution of trades. All funds, aside from the checking account, are invested and in investments permissible by government code and the city's investment policy, with the emphasis of safety, liquidity, and yield in that order. I will review and update the investment policy annually and bring it forward for council's approval. Again, annually, we'll be bringing this policy forward. It's reviewed by staff and the investment advisors. The investment advisors are PFM, Public Financial Management, and Insight Investments, which is now a subsidiary of Bank of New York Mellon. And the government code section, it's government code that makes it necessary for me to bring this forward each year, and the section is 53646A1. There are two recommended updates. Page 7 of the policy is where they're found. And these updates will increase the pool of qualifying investments in the asset-backed securities market and allowing them to be changing the language from 5-year maturity to 5-year remaining maturity. And this new language will allow an increase in the pool of investments because it opens up the market just a little bit by the change in that language. And that's a government code change, Assembly Bill 1770. This new language as far as the rating goes, it eliminates the A issuer requirement, leaving only AA or better. And this language is a result of simplification and better matches the investment grade with which the city is comfortable. That's really what I have for you today. So staff recommendation is to approve the investment policy as amended, and I'm happy to address your questions at this time.
All right. Any questions of council?
No, sir.
No, sir. Oh, we got one.
Through the mayor. I have a question. How long have we been utilizing Public Financial Management and Insight Finance as our advisors?
I can only go back 15 and 2/3 years. But as long as I've been here, we've been using PFM as one of the investment advisors. Mm-hmm. And the Insight Investment used to be called Cutwater, and before it was purchased by Bank of New York Mellon, it was called MBIA. And so that company, though it's changed names, we've been using it for quite some time. And I don't know if the prior city treasurer has any insight on how long we've been.
I don't. I believe it was probably in the last 12 to 15 years.
How often are you meeting with them?
I have contact with them not a meeting when they're recommending trades. So
Okay.
as a bond is getting ready to mature, they'll contact me and say, this bond's getting ready to mature, and we've got these options for you to consider to replace that bond in the investment portfolio. They tend to reach out to me maybe twice a year for a face-to-face, and they often are at a conference that the finance director and I attend in the late winter.
So the proposal today is just simply to meet the new guidelines. That's all we're changing on the policy, correct?
That's correct. So each year in the fall, I reach out to the investment advisors and say, here's last year's investment policy. Please take a look and see if you see anything where we're out of compliance or if laws have changed.
Okay.
They're very well versed at that.
Good. Sounds like you're doing a good job. Thank you.
Well, thank you for saying so.
All right, back to council for action.
Well, I motion that we adopt the investment policy as presented.
There you go. You have a second.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second to approve the new investment policy as amended. I'm assuming that's what you meant, as amended, presented? Correct. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Before we do that, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, would we be able to take this out for public comment?
Yes, we may.
Thank you.
Force a habit. Eventually, you'll train me effectively. Anybody in public care to comment on the item? All right. Now may we vote. Signify by saying aye if you approve.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.